let's talk about this stuff. So a lot of you told me your stories. Your house is full. You've lived in your house a long time. You can't find anything, or maybe there's a little pathway through your house, right? And so just like we were talking about at the beginning, there's so much peace that can come from looking around and not seeing to-dos. So if you're sitting in your living room and you've got, big piles in the corner, first I would suggest, because it takes time to work on these things, pick a spare bedroom and move all the extra clutter to a spare bedroom. Or maybe it's already in your basement, okay? But you want to get it out of your bedroom, your closet, and then your main living space. And I would say your kitchen too, okay? So if you have a small place, that doesn't leave much room to hide this stuff, right? But it's work to get this done. So I'm gonna start with this list, and then I'll expand on a few of the areas and give you a few more tips about that. So spring clean by decluttering. So the first rule is keep what you use and what you love. That may sound very elementary, but when you really start looking around your house, even on your bookshelf, even if you're someone who loves books, this is a good example, because I thought if you had a book and you liked the book, why wouldn't you keep the book, right? Because I have enough bookshelves for it, so why wouldn't you keep it? But when I started going through, I went through some books with a client, and they were like, you know what, I really just want to keep my favorites, because when I look at my bookshelf, I want to go, oh, I love these books. The books were her friends, and the books were her, confidants and inspiration and that kind of thing. And we got rid of hundreds of books that were just books to her. They really didn't mean that much. And when you're downsizing, guess what? One of the biggest things you have to let go of are books, because it's in your home, it's all real estate, and it's all inches. So literally the amount of space you need for books is the amount of inches they take up. So each bookshelf, usually it's a 30-inch bookshelf, so that's 30 inches of books times however many bookshelves you have. So it's, so it could be start now. So, and books are books, if those are things that you love, it just I'm using that as an example, because that's something that most people it's the books. I'm going to pack them in a box and I'm going to move all the books. Why wouldn't I move all the books? So you've probably heard of the organizer from Japan, right? Have you heard the organizer from Japan? Spark joy. Oh my gosh, is it being used, that term being used in all advertising now? There's a carpet company using, if your carpets don't spark joy, if you're, and I just heard something else. I don't know what it is, like dental work or something, about things sparking joy. I'm like, well, that's going to get overused. But the principle of that is something that all as organizers have been saying for years. Keep what you use and what you love. But I like the term because it's helped a lot of people, first of all, be inspired to organize. So I like that. And then it's given them a term. So sometimes if keep what you use and love sounds boring, what has motivated people is, does it spark joy? Right? And so paperwork does not spark that much joy. So that's why I'm like, well, not everything's going to spark your joy, people, right? So there's going to be some things, the plunger, for example. Come on, we need to, keep what you use and love. All right, so in the things that I talk the most about with people and that's hardest to get rid of are the maybe one day piles. So basements and storage spaces are full of maybe one day. And so I read a book by Peter Walsh. He's also internationally acclaimed organizer and was one of Oprah's organizers. He said, if your basement is filled with about 25 chairs for the party you're going to have, plus the costumes that you're going to wear at the next costume party, even though you don't go to costume parties, and it's next to the exercycle that you bought 10 years ago because you really need to get in shape, but you're not going to get rid of it now because you're really going to get in shape. So if all those things are in your basement, I just thought it was great, right? We have things, I have ski clothes. I don't go skiing. The hope is there to go skiing, but will I even fit in those clothes? I hope so, but so it's just really looking at your life now. What is it from a past career? That's a tough one. You may have had a whole 25-year career in real estate. Okay, real estate's a bad example. You need to keep real estate records. But a whole 25-year career, say in public relations, and you have all these, all these press kits that you did and all these fun things that you did, but that's from another life. Do you really need that? Could you just whittle it down to your 5 top, media placements or something like that. So we're looking at what's your current life now. And so a lot of being able to cope with the maybe one day is really just taking a realistic look of like, you know what, this is today. And the maybe one day stuff is you're paying for it to store it in your house, right? Because every square foot costs money. And you may even have a lot of guilt or shame about what you've got in your basement or a drive-under garage. And I say that because it was so interesting to me to work with a client with a drive-under garage, and that was full. I mean, it was like the door goes up and you can't go in. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna be able to give you a full estimate on how much time this may take because I can't get in there. But they, and so they only told me like later in the process when things started coming out, just how they mentally just felt so amazing. And then they told me about the guilt and shame. They said, we know people could use this stuff. We just feel terrible that this has just been sitting in our garage, and some of it was moldy. So then it was totally not useful at all. And so clearing out the garage for them was life-changing. They told me it was life-changing. I mean, you just think it's cleaning out a storage space. It's not. It's, for them, it was guilt and shame. So whatever your issue is, whatever that emotion that's, you may not even recognize what's your emotion once you start cleaning out the space. It's very cathartic for a lot of people too. Okay, so donate the well-intentioned gifts is the next thing. So many, especially women, so many women, I can't get rid of that. My mother-in-law gave it to me. I can't get rid of that. That was for my daughter. I can't get rid of that. That was for my best friend, and she's no longer with us. And I can't. And it was on and on and on. I've had several people where just every single room, they were like, ugh, here's this pile of stuff. Like it wasn't displayed. That's the thing. It wasn't displayed. So it was in boxes. It was hidden in closets, and it was all these well-intentioned gifts. And they're like, I can't get rid of it because someone gave it to me. And so it's finding out what works in your head to get rid of that stuff, okay? So one of the things that's helped my clients is I've enjoyed it for a little while, now I'm gonna pass that on. Someone else will enjoy it, right? I mean, you never know. You go into Goodwill and watch what people are buying, okay? So it's really interesting. So it could be that, that random dog statue that someone really will enjoy, that somebody gave you that you really don't like. So it's really, and again, if this is what's filling your closets, you might have to get rid of it anyway if you're downsizing. So just go through it now and really, but look at it as, I'm moving it on. Somebody else is really gonna enjoy this, or I've enjoyed it for a while. And most of the time they're not gonna, if it was not out anyway, and the person hasn't asked you about it, then they're probably not gonna say, where's that dog statue I gave you 10 years ago? Didn't you love it? They're probably not gonna say that. So, now if you just get a gift and you don't like it, and it's like, I always say with the mom or mother-in-law, put it out for just like until their next visit. And then all of a sudden it disappears. I don't know. I had to rearrange things. I had too much out. The dust was getting to me. So mementos, I talked with some of you. So let me give you an example of family mementos. So a client had this white wicker set. It wasn't in great condition, but that was their mom's. And their mom had passed away. And so they had, I guess it was 5 pieces. And so they said, we realized that she had 3 brothers and sisters. So I'm like, oh, everybody take a piece. Everybody take a piece. You keep the one chair. It fits in your sunroom. They'll take the other pieces and get that out of the way. It was a great way to spread the family mementos out. Now, if you're the only one, you can decide, do you want to take a picture or do you want the actual item? Because you're not losing the memory of sitting in those wicker chairs every Sunday afternoon. That, you remember your family sitting there. You're not losing the memory, you're just losing the item, okay? And you could even particularly find a picture of you all sitting in it and frame it and hang it in that room, hang it in one of your favorite rooms so you can see it. And then you're seeing the chairs every day, but you don't have to have the chairs, and even when you're not in that room, you're seeing these chairs. So family mementos, they are difficult, but you just have to be realistic. If someone else's past life is taking up too much space in your house, then you're not living your present life. You see what I'm saying? And I've seen that. I've seen their whole mother's house came into their house, and all of a sudden their house was a mess and they weren't enjoying it anymore. That past, that she thought she was honoring the past, but now she's not honoring the present either, right? Like it didn't work. It didn't work. And so that's a very serious thought, concern. But nowadays with some of these sales sites, like Nextdoor, the Nextdoor app, I don't know if you have that, it's really easy to sell stuff now. I couldn't believe it. So I sold the dolls that my mom had when she was little. And I thought, who's gonna want these? Because, the girls of today are into different kinds of dolls, that's their specific. And this woman who was about my mom's age, she bought the dolls for her sister's 70th birthday, and they had so much fun. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do with them, but I got some money out of it. They're out of my basement. And she just had this heartwarming story, like her sister said, this is the best gift I've ever had. So, I mean, you never know how it's gonna impact somebody else if you sell something that you think is not worth it to you, but is something, it was a treasured memento, and now it's not. Now it could be for somebody else. The last one, pick a favorite charity to donate to, unless it holds up your process, okay? So I had one lady, and she's like, she had 10 charities, and she's like, well, this pile's gonna go here, this pile's gonna go here, and this one thing I'm gonna drive to my friend's, even though my friend lives 25 miles away, she needs this, and the item was like $5. So she all of a sudden was totally stuck because she just created like hours and hours and hours of work for her, rather than just calling like the Kidney Foundation to have them all pick it up, like pick up everything. Like it will go somewhere that people can use it, but you just need to get it out of your house and move on with your life, because I believe that, God has created somebody to do everything. And so probably your purpose is not sorting through your clutter, but it's part of what you have to do. But let's not spend a lifetime on that. Let's not spend every weekend on that. So I want to go back to your question. So your question was where to start. I love that question. I like to start with the rooms that you're in the most, or the rooms that you feel just like you're a failure in, right? So some people, their kitchen is just out of control. Their bedroom is out of control because that's where they've been hiding everything. So it's pick one of the 5 places. So kitchen, bedroom, master closet, living room, or it could be garage. Because guess what, if you park in the garage, only about 50% of Americans do, if you park in the garage, you see that every day. That is a room in your home. That is something like your drive in, and does it create, a good feeling like I'm home, or is it like, oh my gosh, look at this garage. This is just great every day. And then your closet too. Usually with clients we start wherever they want to start, but a lot of times it's the closet. Because they're just gonna get dressed for the day, and they're like, I can't feel like I'm gonna have a victorious day if I can't even like get in my closet. So because a lot of times the clothes are on the floor, and so they're like shuffling through, trying to pick out an outfit, and then their shoes, they can't find 2 shoes that match. And so if that's you, that's okay. But I'm just saying there's help. There is inspiration to move forward, and you know what? You can get control of your closet. It's possible. It takes some work. Closets can take up to at least 12 hours. I mean, a full master closet can be a long time. That's actually one of the biggest time spaces that I do, because when you think if you have, 200 clothes in there and you take them all off the rack, that's 200 things you're taking out of there, plus all the shoes. So if you've got a closet to do, you've got a lot of time to, you may want to do 2-hour chunks of time over a month or something. So, but it's not, and people are very defeated because they feel like it's going to be like 2 hours. And I'm like, no, closet's going to be more like 12 hours. For women, for men it may be less, but even with men's closets, it's usually like 6 hours or something, because you're really trying to make those decisions. And don't get, I see some smiles over here. I'm like, don't get sad. Don't get sad about it, because it's possible. And that's why people hire me, because they're like, oh, I don't have that kind of time, and nor do I want to spend that kind of time in my life. I mean, that's why I have a job, because I'm like, I'm going to bring my assistant, we're going to conquer this for you. And you can be involved if you want. A lot of people, I do it for them, and they're like in the next room, like enjoying their family or working on business. They do have to make some decisions. There are, but I try to make it as pain-free as possible. So with proper planning, you can start any space. And once you get going, what's really interesting, people have told me it's a catalyst. So I'll work on someone's closet and then their kitchen when I do homes. And then the next thing I come back and they're like, guess what? I worked on my bathroom. I worked on my bathroom and there was, about 10 years worth of makeup in there. And I filled 5 garbage bags. And this is all real stuff, okay? Some women have that much makeup. That may be you, but I'm just saying that it was a catalyst. Like she felt okay. Like she saw that it wasn't going to crush her, right? Even though we have a lot of time ahead working on this. All right, so did I give you some good places to start?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The psychology of it is such a huge part.
It is, yeah. And it's finding out why, it's a little bit of soul searching about why, and then also what you want from the new space. So really, if you think about with the end in mind, that you go in your closet and you're like, I'm walking in my closet. This is so exciting. I'm walking in my closet. I'm finding what I want, and my shoes are right here, and they're matching, right? It's the little things that the little things with victory, but then also like thinking ahead to what do you want the end result to be, okay? I'm going to do one more tip about 2 more tips just based on time. So when you're working on a space, you're going to have to clean the whole thing out. Mostly you're going to have to take everything out because whatever is just sitting there, you think, oh, that's fine. Like that trash can in the corner. That's fine. It's a trash can, and I don't need to move it. But you may find that the trash can is better, like near the entrance to the garage, and you're like once it's out of the space, once something's out of the space, you can see it in a whole new way, and you could put it back together in a more, a lot of times, a more efficient way. That you're like, why didn't I think about this before? Why wouldn't I have my trash cans like behind my car so they're easier to get out? So it's those kind of things that it sort of has power where it's living right now, but you want to remove it from that so you can really see the space. You want your 3 piles. You want keep, toss, and donate. For any mementos you want, donate to a brother or sister or other family member. And then the last thing, let's see, I can even send Maddie a link or something if you want to do that of one more sheet, just because there are so many questions beforehand on how to start a space. And it's my acronym. So I'm just going to say it fast, but I'll send you a link. It's also on my website, organizeatlanta.com. But it's a great way to organize, okay? It's the acronym GREAT. And just because it helps me remember it. So group like items. R is for rid the clutter. E is for everything has a home. A is for arrange and contain, which means buy the bins and the shelves or the file folders at the end of the project so you know what you need. And then T is for take back control, which is the system. So I can send that to you because that's the way you're going to start. And if you have a whole home to do, start with the junk drawer. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a junk drawer. I like a junk drawer, one junk drawer. I've done kitchens where there's like 5 junk drawers. So we just need one, just one junk drawer, right? Any questions about organizing stuff? Yes? Yes, definitely. So great way to organize. So G is group like items, rid the clutter, everything has a home, arrange and contain, and then T, take back control. So that's how you're going to maintain it. And that's how you find everything in 15 seconds or less. Maybe 2 final questions. Are you good? Yes?
You mentioned real briefly something about like videos and photos and those kind of things that you have.
Yes.
You organize those, or you have ideas or services, or.
Yes. The question was about videotapes, like multimedia and photos. So I've got scanning people, I've got photo organizers. I mean, there's a whole digital photos I feel are so out of control. I feel like that's the next big wave because nobody's printing them. So then we have them, and I'm like, what if what if you're backing them up, but then you lose your backup? I mean, then you use it. So anyway, there's photo organizers now that just specialize in that. So I will give you those. I will give you those, yes. So to close, I just want to say that if you need to get started, I hope that you have some inspiration today to get started, that it's possible. It's like one bite at a time eating an elephant, right? And then with some of the other things that we talked about with email And with paper management, it's really what can you, just be careful about what you're saying yes to, because a yes means a no for something else. When you get your papers organized and have a system for them, then you really can find any paper you need in 15 seconds or less. And boy, does that make getting your taxes together easier. So there's so many benefits to this.